Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox coming to you today with the review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 15, Episode 10. So let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys, happy Tuesday morning. It's 7:30. I tried to get this done before work this morning because I think I may have a busy day today, you guys. Whom shall we start with? Drew. So Drew is at home and we see her talking to Ralph. She comes down the stairs and Ralph is very animated. Have you guys noticed the way that Ralph behaves on camera? It's very unnatural. Guess what I got? You know, the men get along fine. We're going to be making breakfast for you guys. It's the women that have the problem. You got... I was like, why is he talking like that? Anyways, this party or this little get-together is for the men and the women. And this is just a little send-off for the women before they go to Portugal. Get all the couples together and have a nice day. So we start seeing everybody get there. We see Candy and Todd. And then we see Sonia and Ross. And then we see Bryce and Courtney. You know, I was like, oh, look at Courtney bringing Bryce around. And you could tell he looked very uncomfortable. I felt sorry for him for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I'm getting the pity vibe when I see him. When Candy saw Bryce, she was just like, I can't believe that is her baby's father. How does he put up with her? He's so nice. So, you know, as everybody gets there, they sitting down talking. You know, Drew tells them about the sister that's there to help her out. Then we get Kenya and Sheree and Manetta. They all come, each of them without their men. Okay. Sheree sans Martell. They ask her where Martell was. He's not coming. They ask Kenya, where's Roy? And Roy's not going to make it either. Okay, drat the luck. And then Manetta, they didn't ask Manetta, but her husband wasn't there. And Marlo does bring in the rear, and she has her man Scott Lee from Jamaica. How many times is Scott Lee gonna tell us that he's a Jamaican man? You know, Jamaica. I'm from Jamaica. I just a Jamaica. Scott Lee, Jamaica. I was like, okay, Scott Lee, we got it. I was like, look at Marlo. Now, I did not expect Marlo to show up with that guy. Okay, Marlo is very careful with that image, and she ain't never, ever appearing with any man. All right, so I was shocked. I said, okay, Marlo, see how this Scott Lee situation, I mean, I don't really trust it, but we'll see how it goes. I know Scott Lee is a bold man to be making a move like this. I mean, this is a big move. You coming on a couple's day, usually these kind of things end in disaster. So it was just sort of like, and then you coming as Marlo's man? I mean, just kudos to him just for being able to do something like this, you know, because I don't know too many men that would want to be under that fire. Anyways, they all sit down, you know, and Candy also mentions that she knows Marlo's man. Okay, I mean, she don't know him like that, but, you know, she's met him before. I was like, look at Candy knowing all of the peoples. I remember Candy is worldwide. But anyways, while the girls are all there, you know, Candy is just talking about this movie that Todd is working on. And, you know, Kenya's joking around like, oh, shoot, I want to be in the movie. Like, you know, she got her acting chops and all. Oh, wait, first of all, who's the lead? Who's taking the lead place? And Candy points over at Drew. And they were like, you gave it to Drew? Okay, because Candy was like, it has to be like the naive, sweet, young type. And, you know, that's got Drew all over it, you know. So Kenya was just like, wait a minute now. I put threesomes on the map. Okay, talking about her role in Toi. All right. And Drew made fun of her. It was just like, honey, that was then, this is now. Okay, you go on and hang it up. But did you guys see on social media, Instagram, or actually it was on Twitter, I think, that Kenya was offended by what Drew had said. Kenya is always offended by anything that anybody says shady about her, but you know, she can always dish it out. Gotta love Kenya. Then while they're sitting there talking, Kenya gets a FaceTime. And who's the FaceTime from but Roy? Kenya's like, oh, shoot, you know, hey, babe, you know, look, say hi to everybody. You know, she turns her phone around for everybody to say hi. And then when Marlo sees it, she said, oh, my God, is that Roy? Kenya was just like, yeah, that's him. And you could tell kind of the way she was acting that it was just like, okay, here's the scene finally, you know. So she was like, yeah, that's him. And she was like, oh, I know him. You know, we dated. We went on a date once. And everybody was just like, what? And I was like, what? And Kenya full of surprises today, ain't she? Now, I know for a fact that Kenya had to know that Marlo had dated or had went on one date with Roy. I mean, she admits that she knew later on in the show. But what was funny to me and what was ironic to me was the fact that Marlo made all of that fuss about Martell being in her DMs. I mean, Kenya made all that fuss about Martell being in her DMs, but failed to mention that Roy and Marla had been out of. That is the bigger story right there. Okay. Only because Kenya and Marlo hate each other. And they was both seeing the same guy. Even though Marlo was like, it was just one date, it wasn't nothing serious. But it still is like a key. And like everybody, the way the girls was all just sort of like, oh, well, she just did not even tell us about this. Like, oh. Yeah. Kenya picks and chooses. So while the ladies are in there talking, the men are outside talking. And it's so funny because, again, Scott Lee, Jamaica. I'm Jamaican. I'm from Jamaica. He's there talking about what he does. He has a restaurant and all of this. And they're just like, boy, we didn't expect you to show up here with Marlo. Like, look at you. Marlo got a lot of personality. I'm sure Scott Lee has seen that already. But anyway, in the meantime, while they in there talking, the men are outside talking, the women are in the inside still talking. They're sitting around and eating. And then Sheree leans over and she asks Drew, was this chef getting paid? I was like, oh my God, that Sheree is so messy. What do you mean, Sheree? Well, there's a lawsuit that Sheree found out about on the blogs. That there was this woman that was suing Drew. All right. And Drew was like, yeah, this woman, she came, she was supposed to be a chef, and she, whatever the whole thing was. The story that Drew gave is different than the story that I read in the paper. I mean, in the paper, child, in the blogs. But the other side of that story is the lady is saying that Drew, they hired her as a chef, but they had her doing everything, like as if she was a nanny, as if she was the maid, the butler, the chauffeur, taking the kids to school, taking them to doctor's appointments, picking up cleaners' clothes. She was like, wait a minute, bitch. This is not what I signed up for. Drew says that it was a situation with the cooking. She was a chef or whatever. So that is the discrepancy in the story. Just wanted to let you know. I don't know, who's telling the truth. That's for the judge to decide. But Drew was like, bitch, don't get it twisted. I'm not like Sheree. I pays my bills. Okay, Sheree trying to make it seem like I ain't paying folks. They asked her how much was a lady suing for, and she said $1,000. And they was like, $1,000? Girl, you could get that. Just give her that damn money. You're going to spend more than that on the legal fees. Okay, but I guess maybe it's the principle for Drew. Anyways, the Portugal trip, Sheree brings it up, says that it's going to be a healing journey for the women. Okay, if her and the OG Real Housewives could sit down and, they've gotten past their issues and now they just love each other and like to hang out and everything. Why, oh, why is it that this group of women can't do the same? Okay, so she's determined to bridge the gap of friendship between the women. What was funny though is Kenya was trying to be shady to Courtney. I couldn't pick up exactly what they were being shady towards each other about, but I did love the fact that Courtney was getting Kenya. It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, you have to appreciate it because Kenya is very quick on her toes, but for some reason, Kenya was a little off that day, okay? And she told Courtney not to touch her because every time Courtney would say something, she would just kind of like touch her like, girl. And Kenya was like, girl, I know you handsy and everything, but don't touch me. I don't know you like that, okay? And Kenya was a little upset though. I was like, not upset, but she did. It was an off day for Kenya. Candy was kind of laughing the whole time that she was there because she was just like, for once, it's not all about me. Okay, thank God. But anyway, Candy has to leave. Candy's a busy woman. All right. So she makes her appearance with the with the Housewives, and then she goes off to do her other Hollywood business. Broadway, should I say. Yeah, so, it was a cute little day. We didn't have any big problems or anything. But it's time for the trip to Portugal, you guys. So we see everybody getting ready for their trip, packing for their trip, getting dressed for their trip. We We've seen them go on countless girls trips. So this one is to Portugal. You know, it's the same as always. Everybody meets at the airport, get on the plane, get to Portugal. Candy gets there, and Candy has like the stomach flu or something. Okay, I guess they was like, come hook a crook, Candy. Your ass better be on this plane, girl, because you already, you know, burning the candle on both ends. Get that ass on that plane. So Candy was there, but they was like, Candy was sick. They said that Candy stayed in that damn bathroom 2 to 3 hours. Sonya was like, I thought we left her because we didn't never see her in her seat. I said, that has got to be the worst feeling. You already feel a little unbalanced when you in the air, you know, and then the fact that the plane probably having turbulence. It's an 8-hour fucking flight. It's not like she could get off of the plane, stretch her legs, get some fresh air and shit. Oh, I know that had to be a miserable ass 8 hours. Poor Candy. But anyway, they don't show us any clips from the plane. They get on to Portugal 8 hours later, get their bags, get on the bus. Okay. Kenya's impressed. Oh, this is a very nice Sprinter van that you got for us. Only the best from Sheree. Only the best. Sheree is telling them it's going to be a healing journey. You want positive vibes, you know, good energy. You know, Kenya kind of turns her head like when Sheree is trying to tell him what this trip is going to be, and Sheree was like, Kenya, why you turn your head on that? Okay. Kenya's like, I'm just listening and I'm just look this direction. That's all. But now they get on to the hotel. I think they're staying at the W out there in Portugal. It's beautiful. You know, they're greeted with champagne and, you know, it's all good. I think we are over the antics of fighting over the rooms, them getting some old crazy, wonky kind of Airbnb kind of place to stay. I think they were doing Airbnbs when COVID was really popping, but you know, like all of that, we over that. Get the girls in their nice rooms and let that be that. So at least we didn't have to deal with the stupid, silly games to try to figure out who was gonna get what room. Marlo's also impressed with the hotel. You know, she said compared to that damn Motel 6 that Kenya had them in when they were in Mississippi, you know, this is much, much better. Anyway, you know, everybody, once they get settled, they calling home, checking on their kids, checking on their spouses. Oh, make sure that you check on Ralph. Make sure you check on Ralph, because Ralph is out in Las Vegas. They was like, oh, really? Yeah, he's out there for business. Oh, okay. Kenya was like, girl, are you worried about him being out there in Vegas? I was like, that's really kind of like shady. Like, don't ask me if I'm going to be worried about my husband. That means that my husband is out of control. I would have been mad if somebody asked me that. But, you know, Drew was like, oh, no, you know, he's out there. We went to go see Chocolate City, you know, the Magic Mike show, but it's for Black people out in Vegas. You know, they have him, he's auditioning for Chocolate City. And they was like, what? Your husband is auditioning for Chocolate City. He's going to be a stripper? Candy was just like, we going to be giving our money to your husband? I was like, that Drew was just like, yes, he's going to be doing that. I was just like, boy, that Drew and Ralph. Child, I don't know what to make of them. I swear I feel like we don't know them not one bit. And they've been on, this is the 3rd year that they have been on this show. But you know what? Drew's going to have to keep us posted on that. So everybody goes to their rooms, and everybody seems to be happy. You know, the girls, all their little individual cliques, they all get together and they're discussing, you know, how everything has been so far. So first we see Manetta and Drew. They're talking, you know, Manetta was just like, do you know how far Africa is from here? And Drew was like, no, how far? You know, she was just like, it's just right below us. And she was like, oh, wow, you know, I've never been to Africa. She was like, I've been to South Africa, you know, but I've never been to Africa. I was like, well, okay, that's fine, Drew. But yeah, Manetta has an orphanage there. Oh, you have a village there? Nope, I have an orphanage that's in a village out there in Africa. Yes, I do. Oh, okay. So Manetta and her husband are on their philanthropic duties out there in Africa. We see Sonya and Marlo talking. And again, they're also saying how so far so good. You know, they're drinking, they're eating, talking about how beautiful it is. We see Candy and Kenya. And again, For the third time, they're agreeing that everything is going well so far. Candy asked Kenya, did she know that Marlo had been on a date with Roy before? And Kenya said, yeah, he told me. But, it was only one date. Obviously, he didn't want her. Anytime women start doing stuff like this, it kind of feels a little pick me, choose me, a little thirsty. I'm not saying that's what Kenya is, but it gives that vibe. When you find out a friend of yours might have dated the man that you're seeing, what you need to do is just be like, yeah, they dated. It didn't work. Now we're seeing each other. Okay? But for you to be doing all this, he don't pay for pussy. So crass. I was just like, why it got to be all of that? And why y'all can't bleep this shit out? I know you can say pussy and dick on Bravo and all, but it's still just like, it's so jarring when it comes out like that, But, yeah, I still think it's quite funny and ironic that Marlo dated that guy Roy, even if it was just for that one date. And did you notice how Marlo is also downplaying that one date? Which is, it's just one date. It's nothing to play up. But what I'm saying is the fact that it's Marlo downplaying it and it's Kenya, when she could be giving it to Kenya like nobody's business. Either she really respects Roy, or something. There's a reason why Marlo is not using this opportunity to come after Kenya like she normally would for everything else. So just some observations, you guys. All that Marlo did say was that, you guys have not seen Marlo with any men, even though Marlo has the, reputation. The ladies like to always say that she's a hoe and a slut and she sleeps around with all these these men. She was like, you ain't never seen me with no man. We done seen Kenya with about 100. I said, well, maybe about 6. We'll give her 6 men that she's brought on the show or whatever. Yeah, that story still just kind of tickles me. But anyway, the ladies get dressed and it's dinner. All right, so get onto the bus. We didn't have any problems with anybody being late or nothing. I was like, this first day is going off swimmingly, isn't it? They ride onto the restaurant. The restaurant looks like it's nice, and they sit down and they're about to order their food. But Kenya suggests, let's have shots first. Okay, let's loosen the bunch up. Everybody getting along. We need to fight. All right. So they tell the waiter, that they wanted tequila shots. The poor waiter looked like he was just like, tequila? Like, you all want tequila? You guys are here and you want tequila? He was looking like, okay, everybody with tequila. So I need to get these niggas some damn tequila. Like, y'all didn't want to try nothing else, huh? Okay. So they're just sitting there talking. Kenya was like, does anybody know how to blink with just one eye? And I was just like, yeah, I tried it. And then she was like, but what about the other one? And I was like, yeah, I can do both ones. But Kenya can only do one. So, the girls all practice what they can and can't do. Anyways, you know what? Thank you for the trip, Sheree. So far, it's been really nice. And Sheree says, yeah, see, this trip is today. What we're going to do is just put the things on the table. Anything that anybody has, an issue with somebody, we're just going to discuss it now and get it out the way. So Courtney brings up that she didn't realize that Kenya had a problem with her. She just didn't know that until, just recently. And Kenya was just like, no, it wasn't that I have a problem. I just, Drew was like, well, it's boundaries. That's what Drew had tried to explain to her when she told her originally not to touch her. Okay. But Courtney felt away about her saying not to touch her. Courtney was just like, well, I just feel like you put off mean girl energy. So, she doesn't appreciate that. And Kenya was like, no, you just got to get to know people. You can't just all of a sudden assume that you can just be laughing and hanging all on them and touching them and everything. But we got past it. They didn't get into no big argument. I guess they have an understanding now. So now Drew brings up to Sheree how she didn't like the fact that, she brought up this lawsuit while they were eating at the fun day that Ralph had planned for him. And, she was just like, what were you trying to be shady? Why were you whispering? Like she was saying, talking about that. It was a lawsuit. It's very serious. And, she just doesn't appreciate anytime, they think that they're going to be okay, then they have some sort of setback. But it is a lawsuit. You should have, you should be aware of the sensitive nature and how Drew can and can't talk about certain things anyway. But Drew didn't like the fact that, Sheree just talks about her, did you talk about me behind my back? I found out that you brought it up to somebody behind my back. Like, don't talk about me behind my back. And I was just like, I mean, Drew, I get what you're saying and all, but I mean, girl, it was all over the blogs. So people are going to talk about it. I mean, there's certain things that you just got to pick your battles. And I feel like Drew just be wanting to fight over all of the stupid battles, Sheree was just like, I mean, you talking about me, talking about you, but you had a lot to say about me. You went on, what was she on, Dish Nation or Watch What Happens Lives or something? I felt like it was a tour, but Drew went on to some interview and said that they had to give back their She by Sheree at the reunion. And Sheree was like, that is not true. And Drew was like, it very much is true. Okay. And the ladies all co-signed for the most part at the table. They was all like, we ain't got nothing. Like, they brought the shit out at the reunion. And Candy was just like, they definitely told us that we had to give some stuff back. Okay. They ended up having to give that shit back. They were like, Sonya was like, I ain't got a purse, a hat, a t-shirt, nothing. Okay. So no, they did not have She by Sheree. The only one that had something was Marlo. Marlo was just like, oh yeah, I got about 4 or 5 pieces. I got a hat. I got a t-shirt. I was like, what else you got? Because it ain't much more on that roster. Shit. I don't even know. Did she have 4 or 5 items? I mean, maybe she did. But yeah, Marlo was just like, oh, the girls are just making a mountain out of a molehill. But, they're all arguing with Sheree. And Sheree is saying that, no, that's not true. But they're like, yes, we absolutely did not get the stuff. Okay. And Sheree is going to stick to her, like, because you guys know that Sheree never ever admits when she's lying, or so she gonna hang on tight to it. I mean, She by Sheree was a 12-year lie, so she ain't fixing to admit to that shit right here at this table. You got some time before she come around to that. So anyway, they going back and forth over that. Drew is still upset, apparently, about what happened, and she gets up and she walks away, okay? And she's starting to cry, and they were like, oh, wait a minute, Drew, why are you leaving? Like, is she crying? So then they tell Sheree, you need to go after her. And Sheree was like, go after her for what? They said she's crying, she's upset. And Sheree was like, oh, God. Why is she crying? She's crying over the damn $1,000 lawsuit. Okay, like, let me get up and go find her. And I was just like, yeah, just be so strange. Drew is such a strange, I don't know what to believe with Drew. It just never seems like it's a real story with Drew in any kind of way. So yeah, anyway, I think that's how it ended, you guys. When Drew walked out, my iPad just died. So I'm in Joe's car, child. So that's why it look a little different. Oh shit, what the fuck? Did you guys hear that? It's Joe's speaker box, I guess. Get the fuck out this car. You guys make sure that you thumbs up the video, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Roxanne. This channel is itsrox. Y'all, everything else I do be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Until next time, rock stars. Bye. Get the fuck out this car for this shit blow.